Alright, I'm going to be playing in Penny Dreadful Thursdays with Mono Blue Control. So this is a deck I have a little bit of a history with. I really like Vedalken Shackles as a card. Basically just an extremely powerful removal spell that is a bit clunky, because you have to spend 3 mana and then you have to spend 2 mana after that to do anything. But once you start doing that, it can essentially be 2 mana, tap it, destroy 2 target creatures because you take something and then block with it and trade. And yeah, it basically just completely wins the board, even if you don't really play to the board otherwise. But the deck is normally not very good, and it probably still isn't particularly good because you don't get wraths like in any other control combination, or color combination for control. And the mana is actually really good. Like in Azorius, you can play Shackles even with the white because there are several typed duels. So there's not that much of a reason to play this deck, though Price of Progress being really strong is definitely a good reason. Though the aggro matchup is probably worse because you don't get the good removal spells. Though the removal is actually pretty bad this season, so Ring Strike Mastery might actually be better than a lot of the removal spell in the actual removal colors. And Horn Lockwhale, of course. And so yeah, the main thing about it this season that's different from normal is that Cryptic Command and Archmage's Charm are legal, so just very good expensive counterspells, but the 2 mana counterspells are really bad. We have essentially a Quench and Out of Air, which was about as good as Mana Leak, I think, in one of the earlier seasons, in Season 33, but I think that there just aren't that many creatures in this season. I think that was like an outlier in terms of how many creatures there were, but yeah, Essence Scatter is just not a good card. And it kind of has anti-synergy with the other counterspells because you don't really want an overpriced counterspell when you already have a bunch of them, because it's the same price as the Cryptic Command, which does the same thing except draws a card. But you kind of have to play it, because Quench is not a good card. But yeah, I'm going to be running this in Penny Dreadful Thursdays. Alright, it is round 1. This is a Mulda 6. I don't know what my opponent is on. Okay, it is Giganta, so probably not aggro. So Whale might not be necessary. It could be Red Deck wins. Actually, do they play Razorkin? No, that's not legal, is it? I think it probably is Red Deck then. Because that was not a good idea. That was a really bad play. I guess all of my other cards are pretty good here. Out of Air is really good if they just play a 2-drop. Not that 2-drop, though. That's not good. I guess I counter it anyway. Shackles is actually very good here on the play. No Thalia to tax it. And they don't go very wide, so it actually kind of just stops them from getting combat damage. Also very good at stopping their equipment from being relevant. They don't return that. Unless they're casting a shock here. Okay, so I mean, I just play this. If they're gonna make a flyer, they can't put equipment on it, so it's just 2 damage. So I just play the sharks. And I don't know how they're ever getting in on the ground again. And in the air I can just shackle their thing. Though a second Phoenix would be annoying because I can't block one with the other one. But yeah, 0-17, that can gain power. Shackles, they're just not going to get damage in without burn spells. And they can't Price of Progress. So they basically have to count to 20 with exclusively burn spells, which is just not going to happen. And they're just gonna die pretty quickly. And if they try to put like 2 flyers in play, I just get one of them and actually improve my clock. And I have Cryptic to stall, and a Whale. So yeah, this game is just completely over. It is quite nice in mono blue. You don't really want Raz in the matchup anyway, since they don't go very wide at all. And it's kind of weak to like haste creatures and whatever. So you don't really want Wrath, and then just not taking any damage from Price of Progress is so important. Probably the main problem is Sulfuric Vortex usually. Did they concede? Yeah, I was just gonna steal that. But the main problem is probably Sulfuric Vortex, but we do have Cryptic Command now, so we can actually answer it. And also, Mono Blue kind of wants to kill people somewhat quickly. Like just by playing a 4-drop or 3-drop or whatever, like Sharks, like this fish. And you can play Tempest Gin, I don't have it here. But a lot of potential creatures, like Chrome Host. Though I think most of them are kind of bad against red deck. It's really the blockers you want. Tempest Gin would be great. So, Spell Pierce, Piracy Charm are good. I feel like Out of Air is not really that good. Like, it's a lot better on the play, for sure. Is Ratchet Bomb good? It doesn't really hit that much. Oh, it actually hits the sword. It doesn't hit the, what's it called? The Leyline Axe. Busy Needle doesn't stop the 2-mana creature from equipping the equipment. Stops like Fervent Champion or just naturally equipping. Either spout's probably terrible. And at most it's like 2 creatures and it's just so late in the game that it's not very good. So is it just something like this? I think so. I might change it on the play, I'll probably just forget to do that though. I do definitely want Out of Air on the play. Though their scariest 1-drops are all... or their scariest creatures are all 1-drops. It's Fervent Champion, probably the scariest, though it depends if they have the equipment. Beaumont Courier can be really difficult to actually answer and can just get them a ton of card advantage. So, what does it mean they don't have, since they have Giganta? Like, what would they normally have? Oh, they can't have Sulfuric Vortex. That's really good for me, I think. I do find it quite nice. Like, normally Azorius, in the later parts of the game, you kind of have to always have a counter spell up to avoid just losing to Price of Progress, but in Mono Blue, you just don't care. I feel like this card, it is quite far from 1-mana destroy target creature, because it's just so easy for them to get to 5 mana. And since I don't actually have Wraths in the deck, I can't just like sweep away the creature under it in a Wrath. I feel like even in Azorius though, it's pretty bad. 5 mana is just not that much. Like even aggro decks get there all the time. So I just think it's a pretty bad card. Or it's not like bad, but it's kind of a necessary evil because there aren't really removal spells in blue other than Whale. Like it's this or Piracy Charm, which misses most things, more than half of things. No turn 3 play, wow. I don't want a Ringing Strike. Well, the card is kind of gonna... Yeah, if they just have a 5th land, it's just gonna do nothing. Well, it's not nothing, but that's not gonna be very impactful. I think I might just Whale. I think I'm more concerned with non-creatures than creatures. Like, what big creatures could they even have? Like, I have no idea. If they don't have a 3-drop, they don't really have 4-drops. It's just a Leyline Axe. So, I don't know what this could be. Hash to smithereens. Okay, so they have the Shackles deck. They just pass, okay. So if they play the Pyromancer, I do just Cryptic Command to counter it. I could also use the Archmage's Charm because having Spears up could be good. But I think I'd rather just do this. Okay, Chrome Host, it's a bit late for the blocker. Well, I guess it does mean I don't really have to counter a creature. Like, I can just do this and counter any non-creature they play, and be fine. Because they can't get a haste through. I don't have anything to say about Gigantha, which is probably what they play here. It's just Ringing Strike. Okay, they're planning to just play that instant speed. Okay, now that's an answer to Gigantha. I think I just pass here. I think I do draw with the Charm if they do nothing. Gets me land drops, gets me closer to dig. Burst Lightning, I imagine? Okay. So yeah, I think I'm very favored from this position. They had no turn 1, Vashina Pyromancer on 2, no turn 3. Like, I don't know how you're keeping a hand that does that. Like, that just doesn't really win games. Especially against control. I feel like, well, I don't know if they played when Mono Blue control was kind of close to being a thing, but basically Mono Blue control is weak to decks that can get under the Shackles. Perhaps that's less true with Ringing Strike, but if you just play a bunch of Savannah Lions, the deck kind of just rolls over and dies because Shackles doesn't answer that many. Especially since I'm not playing Tempest Djinn as a blocker. But even if I did, they could burn through it. So, I don't know. I feel like just playing like Beaumont Courier and stuff. Fervent Champion would be... They should have kind of molded for that kind of hand, I think. Alright, round 2. Don't know what my opponent is on. This looks like a turn 1 Lonely Sandbar. Don't think I can cycle it here. I do have 26 lands, but I don't think I can expect to find a land. And I don't need the Spears up. Though I guess I could have just gone turn 1 Island, and then not cycled the Sandbar if they did nothing. Just to see if I'll draw lands. Since I didn't have a turn 2 play. Okay, so it is the M-Dog deck. These Ring Strikes are abysmal. So it's a Solemnity combo deck that has... It's also just like an Aristocrats deck. Instant speed. I'm guessing they meant to cast this on main phase, so it's probably the Unstoppable Slasher, which does actually get stopped by Ringing Strike. Okay. Okay, can I not draw all of these cards? They're pretty terrible. So once they get to 5, they can do half my health. What is that? Okay, so it's a sack outlet for free. Not infinite. I guess that's maybe good for the Slasher. I don't think I ever want to counter this. I just draw a card. They never... I really doubt they sack the Slasher here, because they're pretty close to just using it normally. Okay. I would love to have found an actual island. Interesting that they sack it now. If anything, I would think they're less likely to sack it now that I played a Shackles. Definitely don't need a Ringing Strike now. I'll hold up Spears because they probably don't have a land, and that means I can counter Solemnity if they have it, which I'm doubting they have, but maybe. I guess they put that on top, or not. I don't know. I probably should have looked when I used the whale. So they can't stop me. Oh, actually. I think I just try to take this now. So they do just sack it. And I do this. Okay, so I'm not sure how they ever beat double Shackles. Like, they can kind of sack some of their board, but... Actually, if I take a sack outlet, I can just use the second Shackles to sack everything I take. So the ability to sacrifice things for free is pretty relevant for both players with Shackles in play. But they can't really function without a board of creatures. So it's way better for me. No reason to use the aura. So that goes to its owner's control. Yeah. I guess I probably should have gone for the aristocrat first. It's probably not the best play. Doesn't really matter though. I don't think it's really possible for me to lose from here. It isn't really possible for them to get the Solemnity combo, especially with the Spell Pierce, because they need an actual sack outlet as well as the Solemnity. I am regretting this Ringing Strike Mastery. I could actually just kill them with Whale. We'll see what happens with that. They never sack that, right? I don't know why they did that. No, I guess they didn't want me to have the sack outlet. But killing this doesn't do anything, really. It's kind of good for me. So, is there any reason to counter this? Not really. I'm not in danger of dying. Max speed only matters for this card, I think. So I guess I'm just drawing. I would kind of like to have a counter spell. Oh. That is a pretty good use of max speed. I guess I do kind of want to counter that. It is annoying to counter a one-drop with an Archmage's Charm, but it's fine. Cryptic. Yeah, Shackles is just so good against Aristocrats, because it's kind of better than Destroy, because even though Undying gives it back, you get to kind of have control over it. They can't attack with it right away. Like, if you want, you can just retake the thing that got returned again. And they also just don't go wide enough to actually try to kill you through Shackles, especially two Shackles. They're just never getting through that. Also, Unstoppable Slasher. I can hit them with this. Make them lose half their life. I will counter that. That's a little more burn than I'd like. So, Needle stops the Aristocrats, but only one at a time. They don't even have Bombardment. I don't know if it's legal. I'm pretty sure it is, but they're not in the right colors for that. Ether Spouts could be good because it's not Destroy, but it's kind of expensive. They don't really go that wide. They don't care that much about attacking. And if they do, it's like really slow and very weak to Shackles, though. Maybe I should plan around not having Shackles, because their way to win is kind of Disenchant. Because how else are they going to beat Shackles? Out of Air is very good here. They play a lot of creatures. I think I cut Pierce, even though Solemnity is potentially the best card in their deck. I do like the Ratchet Bombs, actually. So, I do like Chrome Hosts for blocking, even though I don't think blocking is that important. Maybe I just don't play Ether Spouts. Ringing Strike, it's good against the Unstoppable Slasher, I guess, but maybe I just don't play any. Piracy Charm kills some things. I guess I do this. I probably want to change something on the play, I'm not sure. Okay, that's a very good hand. I mean, it doesn't have Shackles, so it's not very good, it's just good. Out of Air is very good, though. Essence Scatter counters... I think it's really only Solemnity that I care about. That is a non-creature. And they aren't, like... They aren't really an aggro deck. What? Why are they saying this? It's a mulligan. Okay, so Ratchet Bomb is good against this. If they have like Gas Guzzler and stuff, but they're just not going to play out more one-drops, so I don't know. Paying 2 mana to kill Viscera Seer and let them scry is not bad, though, to be honest. Oh, that actually stops the Silex. But it won't stop it if it already has counters. I do have Cryptic to actually remove that. Okay, I was going to play Sandbar, but now that I probably should have still played Sandbar because I'm never countering a non-creature here. And I'm never really using draw, I'd rather use Deduce. but I kind of want to cycle Sandbar because I have enough lands now. I definitely want to counter this. It wins the game with a sack outlet. I'm definitely going to wait for as long as possible with the Seer. Do that, why not? I maybe just go Cryptic here, bounce the Solemnity, counter what they play, and then just hold up the Charm for the Solemnity. Especially since they really want to play a Persist card. Not really what I want to counter, so I will just draw cards. Okay, I think I can just let this happen for a while. Actually, Spymaster's Vault makes me kind of want to use the Silex when they can't connive. Okay, I am bouncing Solemnity here. Which actually does let me potentially get to 3 counters on the Silex to kill the Solemnity after they play it. I can also just kill the Aristocrat if I don't make it there, somehow. I don't think it's too worrisome that I'm going down life and not really doing anything about it. I'd rather counter this than use the Silex. Because Cryptic can't be used to kill creatures, but Silex can, and killing creatures is more important here because I have so many counters. But okay, yeah, very good matchup, even without Shackles, I guess, because Control is just so good against Aristocrats when they aren't killing you on turn 4 or so. Well, I think it's just that Control... Aristocrats, as a non-aggro deck, just can't really beat a controlling deck. I mean, I feel like non-aggro Aristocrats tends to be bad in general, especially combo Aristocrats, but M-Dog has been doing really well with it this season, so I guess it must be at least decent. But I don't know. Okay, round 3. I did say that this matchup is heavily favored for my deck. And I assume they are playing this Orzhov Aristocrats deck, because they have been for a while. Okay, Whale is good if they actually attack with their things. Cryptic is okay, it's a bit slow on the draw. And just in general, against this deck. Okay, so I imagine they are just playing this Solemnity Aristocrats. Okay, Cartel Aristocrat. Do they attack? I think they probably try to do some attacks, because Mono Blue Control tends to be bad at dealing with creatures. But I don't know if... And it tends to be pretty good at actually dealing with the combo, so... I would imagine they actually try to get in, because it's just so easy to stop them from assembling the combo with counterspells. But, okay, so they put it on top. Interesting. I just feel like it's a bad card, so I always assume they put it on the bottom. But I think both times I used it, they put it on top. Both opponents. Okay, Shackles is a very good draw since I had no plays. So, let's see if they have anything to say about this, or if they just die. They could actually win the game, but they would have played Viserys here on turn 1 if they had it. They would also need a land. They would need the 3 cards already in hand to be the combo. A land, a Viserys, or a Solemnity, because they have the Cartel Aristocrat in hand. Okay, so I can steal the Cartel Aristocrat, and that's pretty bad for them. I could also just play Cryptic Command on something, tapping, and doing something else. So this is lethal with a Solemnity right now, but it is very easy to stop that by just stealing the Aristocrat. So if they just pass to combat, I do just have to steal the Aristocrat. And then they probably can't attack. I'm never going Cryptic here. I can't imagine they have anything here. It would be very strange if they did. Maybe they were considering sacking... No, that wouldn't... I mean, if they considered sacking the Messenger for speed without having to get rid of the Aristocrat. Because I don't want the Aristocrat to die and let me take another thing. Because now, how are they ever attacking me? Or is this somehow helping the combo? No, they're definitely trying to get there with damage. So, 2 creatures that burn could be something. That's 3 damage of reach on the board. This is quite awkward. The digs are way too expensive right now. I can't do anything else if I Shackles. Interesting. So they play that pre-combat. I'm not really sure why. I guess they could have Solemnity. They probably just top-decked the Seer, so they could have Solemnity in hand. I think I just do this, regardless. There's no way they just hold Solemnity here, right? Like, that would have infinitely recurring creatures. Actually, how would I even beat that? Because whenever I would block and trade, they would get both back without a counter. So yeah, that'd actually be so bad for me if they had Solemnity, but I would be able to bounce it, because I drew the other Cryptic. But yeah, even Shackles doesn't really stop them from getting permanently recurring things. Basically, I would have to steal their creatures and then not attack or block with them to actually prevent them from being, I don't know, unkillable. So they actually do trade here, interesting. Just for 3 damage to me. They do also get to connive. They have max speed, which could be relevant with Gas Guzzler, or the other thing, mostly Gas Guzzler. Oh, that gives +1/+1 counters. I was not thinking about that. And it also makes the thing bigger to do more damage. Am I actually bouncing that? That seems so bad. That's actually quite the synergy. How do I stop this? If I draw a counterspell after Cryptic, I could definitely stop it, but I can't play Dig and then also do something else, so I'm not sure that I can, but how am I gonna stop it otherwise? From just keeping coming back. Yeah, what I should have done is bounce the Spymaster's Vault, I guess. That also has problems, but yeah, I just wasn't thinking about that. Okay, second Shackles. I guess that kind of is an answer to the Vault. That prevents them from growing and conniving. Okay, I do get an island. This might be a bad play. Yeah, I probably should have gone dig plus activate Shackles. Like, I can't let the 4/3 through, of course, but I feel like actually finding something for next turn with dig would be really important. So I don't just die to the 2/2 or whatever. And they probably have other relevant cards now. But they can't really do that much other than just like play the messengers and madcaps. Because everything they do is a creature. So I imagine they just play the goblin. But now they have no creatures in play, so they can't actually kill the madcap. And I'm not forced to do anything, so I can just hold up counter spells. Or just draw into something relevant. Play whale to get lethal. Whatever. Okay, only 2 cards. Another red cap. So if I counter this, I can play dig, so I definitely do that, I think. They'd also be able to just kill the one I currently control. Though maybe they don't even want to do that, I don't know. It's an aristocrat. Why did they play that when they already have the protection from any color one? I'm not sure. So I just do this. I think I attack with both. Because if the red cap dies, they can't spy masters. No. Actually, I kind of just like using Ringing Strike. That can sack itself. Not that that does much of anything. So this is currently lethal. But they're obviously going to have something. Even if that something is untapping. It doesn't have flying, though. Well, I would be 1-off lethal if they did that. Though they would be forced to block the messenger. So it would actually be completely game-winning. So yeah, the game is pretty over. But yeah, watch out for the red cap things. I think I do need to worry about that. Kind of like a mix. Like they get the first 10 damage or so with creatures and then try to get there with red cap triggers. It's probably quite difficult to actually get any reasonable amount of damage, but it has to be the shark. No. It could be the whale, but Because they'd be forced to block either it or the messenger. No, they'd be forced to block the whale if I played it. But it doesn't really matter. As long as they just aren't killing the red cap. So yeah, it's just completely over. They can't do anything with 1 or 2 cards. Have a messenger. It's not gonna do it. Gas Guzzler. That is actually quite close to doing something. It doesn't get there though. They sack the messenger, put me to 1. And then they're out of mana. They have 1 card in hand. So, no, it doesn't matter. But wow, that is quite the 2 cards to have. The most possible damage, because they couldn't use Caves of Koilos to play another messenger. But I just ignore this. What is that? Oh, okay, they're just sacking it to draw another card. Okay. I could have looked for a counterspell, which I might have found. I just knew that it couldn't be lethal. I play these, I think. I think either spouts is bad. That late in the game, they aren't going to be attacking with multiple creatures, because I'm going to have some way of preventing them from attacking, like Shackles. Though I do wonder, do they play like Vindicate or something? I mean, they probably play some kind of Seal of Cleansing, Disenchant, whatever, because it is just really good this season to have Disenchants. I feel like spreading Seas could be good. Probably not on the draw, though. But they do have like a triple black for Geralfs. They could struggle to get white sources, maybe. I don't know. Ice Charm hits a bunch of things, I think. Shark Typhoon, too slow to do anything. Sharks is worse than a 2/4. So what's bad here? I'm on the draw. What did I do last time? I don't remember. I didn't play Needle. Oh, I sided out these. I think this is exactly what I did last time. So, play Shackles, win. Yeah, I feel like this deck, this Aristocrats deck is pretty bad, but I know M-Dog has actually done quite well in tournaments with it. Which is pretty surprising to me. The Persist combo decks have almost always been terrible. So it's surprising to see someone doing well with it, especially in a deck that isn't even aggro at all. Is this hand keepable? I feel like it is, just because Sandbar cantrips. I hold on to the needle. I am rethinking that statement. Is it worth naming Viserys here on 1? Probably not. I can't play it on 2, but that's fine. The only time I care about it is after that, I think. I guess if they play some kind of persist creature and then Solemnity next turn, I can't do anything about it, but they don't play a 2-mana persist. And even if they did, it wouldn't win because all they would do is scry infinite times. Which definitely doesn't win because I can just counter whatever they find. Also, this is better. I could have held out of air, but I don't know. I'll have out of air later. They're gonna have creatures later, they're gonna have creatures now. It's not gonna be a dead card later. Silex is pretty important to get down early, especially if they're playing a Solemnity here. Which they are not. Okay, well, countering that would have been quite helpful, I must say. Can I get a Shackles? How do I beat this? Don't think that's the answer. I have no answers outside of this Filigree Silex. Is that rounded down? Rounded up? What? It's a 3-mana creature. Why does it do so much? And they have a Vindicate, okay. Yeah, if I am just using it on X equals 3, they actually aren't even losing their slasher. That is a little unfortunate. So I go down to 7. I'm kinda just dead. I don't even have an answer in the deck, really. It's just Whale, I think. Whaler like Ringing Strike, which doesn't even work. Whale would be quite good here, though. Okay, well, now I'm regretting the uptick. So I whale the slasher, and then the Silex kind of just sits there. The Seer slowly whittles my health to 0. Well, the Ratchet Bomb deals with that once it brings me to 3. Okay, so I will this. I'm guessing they put it on top. No, they just sack it. Wait, no, they can't sack it. What am I saying? If they did, I would just kill it with the Silex while it was recovering. Well, I am dead to a red cap. How do I beat that? I top deck another card. I don't know what I can possibly draw here. That might be what I need. I think that is what I need. So I go steal the Guzzler, trade with the red cap. I still can't deal with the 1/1s. I can deal with one of them. But I am going to 2 here. And I guess if I manage to get through this, I do have out of air to counter another red cap or the zombie thing, Geralf's. Do they just have lethal? No. Oh right, they put that on top, I think. Well, I can't counter that now. So, I need Shackles, I guess. Shackles actually kinda wins here. Most likely. But I can't draw the perfect card 3 turns in a row. So I can stop the unstoppable Slasher and do nothing about the other two. Have to do this. I'm dead. Okay, so I am now on the play. So they do have Vindicate. Maybe that means I play Spell Pierce. Also looks kind of good for Spreading Seas, though I don't love the card still. I think I'll just do this. Just have a decent hand, and it should be easy. Okay, there's a Shackles, but as I saw last game, they do have Vindicate. So this Pithing Needle is a turn 4 play. Ratchet Bomb is nice, especially on the play. On the draw, it's definitely a lot worse. It's kind of just too slow to answer things sometimes, but on the play, it's quite good. I think I do cycle the Sandbar. I actually didn't even realize that wasn't an island. Ratchet Bomb is not the best against this deck because they don't really want to have multiple cards of the same mana value. Like, all of their 1-drops do the same thing, so they don't really care about having multiple. Like, they don't care about having both Gas Guzzler and Viserys here. All of their 2s are also aristocrats. And then their 3s are the non-aristocrats, the persist cards. So they don't really need multiple of the same thing. So do I just go Shackles? Probably. I am quite weak to Vindicate on the land, and also the Shackles. And just because I don't have a land drop in general, yeah, I really needed that Lonely Sandbar, I guess. So I can't Ratchet Bomb on 3. Can they just play Solemnity? Actually, maybe not. I mean, if they do nothing particularly relevant here and then just pass, I kind of just win because I can now counter Vindicate. Like, if they were to actually just pass the turn, I would just kill the thing, the Zahur with the Ratchet Bomb, and then just hold up Cryptic Command. Assuming I actually do a land. Which is not something I can just assume. Yeah, it's really just Vindicate that I'm terrified of. Solemnity could be really annoying because, yeah, if they just play a Persist card, it's quite annoying, even with Shackles. But I can just counter those Persist creatures, is the thing. That looks more like a Vindicate, yeah. Okay, I lose my Shackles. Probably better than them hitting a land, but they didn't realize. And they saw the Sandbar, so they kind of expected me to have lands. But I did not. I think it's better to do this now. Synergy with the out of air costing 4. Or costing 2 but having a mana value of 4. Though, it does kind of suck to let them resolve whatever. Like, how do I deal with that? That's the thing I really wanted to counter. They're never sacking that, so no reason to Ratchet Bomb now. Okay, that's really bad. Where are my lands? Can I really play a Deduce here? It's disastrous if I don't find a land, so I don't think I can. But letting this slasher hit me is also really bad. Though I guess I can get the incubate thing in play for next turn, maybe. But not really, though. Another slasher. Solemnity. Vindicate on the shark. Yeah, this lack of a land drop has been disastrous. I would have easily won if I had the fourth land drop. Like, if I just didn't cycle the sandbar, I would have won this game. But now I'm probably losing from this position. Where's my Spell Pierce? So now I go to 7. I still don't have a good answer to the slasher. I just have to needle blindly, maybe? No, I just don't play it. I guess if I draw an island, I can maybe answer the slasher. I absolutely cannot let that hit me another time. Yeah, I've just been... Like, I just needed lands and didn't get them. I would have easily won if I just had lands. They also haven't had lands, but I doubt it's been that relevant for them. Though maybe they have red caps in hand. But yeah, I just have to transform this because I die otherwise. And it's not like my plays are even that relevant. All I really have is countering a card, and then I'm forced to Cryptic Pounce. At least here I can tap, maybe? It's never good, though. I'd love to draw an island, I guess, but it just doesn't even really matter now. That's... wow. Yeah, I mean, I have the perfect answer to the slasher. I just have the 2-mana counter spells, but I just haven't been able to play them because I just don't have the lands to do things while also holding up mana. So if I play Needle, it's free, but there's really no reason to play it because the aristocrats aren't even very good here. So it's better to just wait. So do I even want to bounce? I think I do need to tap here. And I guess I draw, see if I can find a Shackles or something. Like, I could bounce, but they could just replay it, and I'm not really that scared of the next thing they play. Like, I'm kind of dead on board regardless. Like, I need to draw because I have to find an answer to the board, or I die. I mean, it's Shackles or bust, I think. Actually, Ether Spouts would be amazing here, but yeah, I'm dead. Yeah, now I find lands. If I just had the lands when I actually... If I just had lands earlier, I would have actually just countered all of these creatures, and they wouldn't have mattered. But now I just have no answers to the board and all the lands I need. Also, wow. So I said that the removal spell was bad, but it's way worse than I was thinking. So this card, Ringing Strike Mastery. Wow, this was terrible. Like I said, it was a lot worse than a 1-mana destroy target creature, but this card is just so incredibly bad, even compared to the white removal spells, which are pretty terrible. They're like 2-mana destroy target tapped creature is basically what the Azorius removal is like. It's basically like side grades to whale that don't even have the backside. Or the hardcast version. But wow, this just does nothing against the aristocrats. Like, it stops exactly Slasher, but it doesn't even work, because the scariest time that Slasher... the scariest time to get hit by a Slasher is during the, like, more middle-late game, rather than the early game. So, they can actually just untap it whenever, and then against the other things, they're just sacking them, so it does nothing. Also has anti-synergy with Shackles, I think. I just don't have Wraths to take advantage of that. It doesn't synergize with Ether Spouts, even though I don't really play it that much. But yeah, this card is just so much worse than I was thinking, and I always thought it was bad. It is definitely not Oust. Okay, round 4. If I win, I top 4. If I don't, I probably don't. This hand is abysmal into anything other than aggro. So hopefully they're on aggro. That is not aggro. What does this mean? Maybe I don't cycle Sandbar because I need lands for the mirror. I don't know how I win a control mirror with this deck. Shackles is pretty good, I guess. Maybe they just can't win through it. I do need to resolve my Shackles and not get it stolen. So Madcap is pretty bad in a control mirror. So that's something. So what does red even give in a control mirror? Okay, that's quite good. I don't know how I beat that. What does red even give in a control mirror? It doesn't really do anything, I think. Steaming Sauna is probably the main thing, actually. That is quite good. I can bounce it, though, I guess. Yeah, I just don't have a card draw engine. So I kind of am forced to either win early or completely prevent them from winning the game. With, like, Shackles. Because they don't really have ways of killing artifacts, I imagine, other than just, like, Cryptic Command. Though Shackles doesn't beat Shark Typhoon. So, I don't know, I think I kind of have to win somewhat early if I want to win. I think this is just an abysmal matchup. Or maybe I can just play the late game, lose, time them out. That typical stuff. They are playing pretty slowly. And it's only turn 3. I'm guessing that is unrelated to the game. It's not a good idea, though, when you're just starting a control mirror. Because even from the beginning of the game, you probably should be thinking about time. Because it could very easily come down to that. And that is kind of my only out, I think. I do wonder, could I just, like, Sharks? I think that actually kind of wins if it resolves. They actually can't deal 17 damage to a creature. They would need, like, double ill-timed, doing 8 each. And even then, they would need a single turret removal, but it has ward. So, yeah, it's basically just, you can bounce it for, like, 7 mana with Cryptic Command or something. Or I guess it's, like, what, 5 with Will? It's ward 3, right? Main phase cycle sweltering. They tanked for over a minute for that. Interesting. Wait, were they on the play? No, so they didn't even... They weren't even missing a land drop. What? They just let me resolve a Shackles for no reason? Okay. Whale could maybe steal a game. Because it has flash, it can get around counter spells. I would like to resolve this charm. I'll do that, I guess. They could have negate. Well, there's Shackles. No land, though. That is quite unfortunate. And I do regret not playing that Lonely Sandbar. Yeah, I don't know why they're taking so long when they have no actions. I'm guessing they're just doing something unrelated to Magic that they're distracted by. I mean, I did take a while at the start of the game too, so. Yeah, if they continue doing that, they're probably just going to time out. Okay, well, I have a lot of bad cards that I can discard. Like all of these Ringing Strikes that are basically completely dead. In fact, they're better in the graveyard because of Dig Through Time. So if they tap out, I get to resolve Shackles, and they can't answer it outside of Cryptic. Oh. Interesting. It's Twin. I don't think I ever counter that. Ringing Strike is actually an answer to that. Okay, so I would love to play a Shackles, but I simply can't protect it. Either Spouts is an answer, I guess. Cryptic is also an answer. But it doesn't actually stop Kiki from working, it only stops Splinter Twin. And I imagine they only play Splinter Twin. It would be weird if they played both. It is actually bad for them that they have the Twin combo in their deck. I mean, I really need to draw a land, so I think I actually do just try to counter this. Or, not try. They're not going to protect it with 0 mana. Okay, where are my lands? It's been so long since I've drawn a land. So if I have Kiki, that is extremely bad for me because now I can't really time them out if I play a Kiki. So maybe I should just play super passively, but if I do that and never find a land, it's pretty easy for them to just brute force through several cards if they have enough mana to do their combo while having several counterspells. No way. I was not thinking about that. I died. No, they played Corridor Monitor, didn't have the Twin. What if I played another Ringing Strike? What was the purpose of that? There was no purpose to that play. That was completely useless. Good thing they don't have a Splinter Twin. For some reason I forgot that the other Corridor Monitor can actually combo with the Splinter Twin. It was to confuse them so they spend time thinking. So they end up timing out. What is this? Cryptic Command! Those actually were doing nothing, so that's fine by me. Though I do die to Splinter Twin plus a counterspell. They keep it on top. So they have a land, which means that they win if they have Splinter Twin plus any Archmage's Charm, Invert Polarity, Make Disappear, Negate, Disdainful Stroke. If they do nothing, I do get to deduce twice, which is quite nice. Okay, well, they're fueling their Search Phrase Kanta. Playing around Whale. Dig is nice. Can I find a land, please? Where are my lands? How have I not seen a land? Finally, that was so many draws. That was at least 10 draws since my last land, and it's a 26 land deck. I have a dig. I have to counter this. I can't counter this, actually. So, never mind. I'm actually just dead, though. Actually, I think dig is a pretty good play here, because if I counter it, I get to counter their dig. If they don't, I maybe get... I can't get anything, can I? But if they counter it, I can counter their dig, and if they get invert, if it's invert and they don't steal it, then they don't get a dig. Which does not sound that great, actually, but it is the best at preventing them from winning on their next turn. It was the best possible play for me to do that. That does look like invert. Okay, so I actually don't counter this, because I don't really care about getting them myself. So I'm just hoping... Well, my hopes did not come to fruition. Okay. In that way, they also have a spell pierce. Okay, so they are not guaranteed to have twin. So maybe I'm not dead. But yeah, just not having lands just completely killed me. Like, if I had lands and not enough non-lands, I would actually be able to stall for a while to end up timing them out. But now I just don't actually take that much time. Like, I still win if I win game 2, but... yeah. Okay, so the twin combo does actually take some time. So that is something. Okay, so I am dead. They don't realize you can attack with all at the same time. Okay. So that was almost half of their time. And it only went to turn 9. So if I can just not get horribly mana screwed, maybe I just time them out. Pithing Needle is great. Teferi is great. Whale is kind of bad. This is unplayable. I kind of like Sharks as a win con. Oh, it's only 2. They cost 2 more. Still basically impossible to kill, though they do have Whale, I imagine. I guess Stoic Sphinx is probably a much better win con. Chrome Host could be good. Ratchet Bomb also does answer the thing. Maybe I just play like mono corridor monitor hate. I don't know. Do I even need to win? I don't need to kill them. I just need to not die. Okay. I mean, it doesn't really have much of a win con. It only has a couple Stoic Sphinxes and 2 Shark Typhoons, I think. But it has answers to their twin combo. Okay, so it should be able to draw lands with the deduces. It has Needle for the corridor monitor, which they might not have much of an answer to outside of Cryptic, which doesn't even work very well, because I just replay it, and it's hard to counter. Okay, so turn 1, Needle. So Kiki does get around this. And they're probably, well, I don't know if they know about mono blue control and the fact that it's very dependent on Shackles, but if they do, they definitely side in Artifact Hate. But I'm not sure if they really have Artifact Hate, because the smelts are kind of bad. They're basically just smelt. Okay, so I will just play my deduces, hit my land drops, hopefully. Looks like successfully. Actually, they might just die to Stoic Sphinx if they don't have Ill-Timed still in, or if they never had it. No, that's Sweltering, which is quite good against the Sphinx. So I'm not sure. And if they have Fiery Impulse, that's also good. What? Well, that is a combo that gets around the needle, but why? So it doesn't combo with Kiki, so I assume they don't play Kiki. Is this really better than Combat Celebrant? I guess. I mean, Celebrant is pretty bad when you don't have other creatures, but I don't know, it's just so bad, no? Like, it's Corridor Monitor, but 3 mana, and I feel like you don't really want to play more combo pieces. So I don't know. I mean, it should make them worse in the matchup to have more combo pieces, because they have less counter spells and card draw. And they just can't beat like Shackles, or even like sorcery removal beats them, but I don't really have that, so. Also, what is this attack? I guess I did side out all of my whales. Also, they missed a land drop. They are just dead. Like, they're just completely lost. They can't tap down the Sphinx. So, they do just die, and probably go down to like 10 minutes for game 3. Okay, they just immediately concede to save time. But they are now... That's about how long it took for them to win game 1. I'll just run it back. Mellow draw, so should be easier to get the right amount of lands. I don't know, I just need a functional hand. Just give me lands and counter spells and card draw. Okay, it has 3 lands, has a counter spell, has card draw, I guess, has interaction for the combo, and it is actually, it works against both the human and the monitor, because I just have it on 2, and if they play the human, I go to 3. Since they can never win all in one turn, they always have to have a creature survive. So I'm always playing this as a land. Negate is good. I would much rather see a land or a deduce. No 3s I'm really afraid of, so I'm just going to play Silex. Though, I mean, I don't need it down this early, it's just that I don't really want to counter anything. Because they're never actually winning on turn 4, I'm just going to have a negate up for that. It also doesn't even answer the turn 4. They didn't attack. Now that I can't have a whale? What? Okay, so I might just be able to kill them again with Stoic Sphinx. I could have tried countering that because they don't have very many cards. I think they mulled low. But I had a chance to just immediately lose the game if I did that. And I don't like that idea. It probably would have been a good idea though, because it looks like they're missing a land drop, and they're still missing a land drop, wow. So I take up the Filigree Silex, and now I don't have to worry about the combo. So I'm just gonna play the Sphinx. Could have played Chrome Host, but I care more about just winning quickly. Chrome Host takes way too long. And also, if I get a land, I can go Chrome Host, hold up, negate. Well, that is unfortunate that I don't find lands, but they're getting hit even harder by that. So it's fine. I have Cryptic to bounce my opponent's lands. Though it could be pretty bad to get inverted by that. To get that inverted. So I don't really want to do it on their end step. Because if they redirect it to like the Sphinx or the Silex, that's really bad. So I just won't. Wow, they discard a Twin. So I'm assuming they do have lethal if they find a red land, or at least they can present it, and get stopped by both the hand and the Silex. So they're probably just out on board. So I can just say no. And I also get to hold up stuff. So I'm more preventing them from killing Sphinx than from doing the twin combo, because I don't have to worry about that until they play the human. And even then, I'm already wanting to hold up counterspells, so it doesn't even matter. Okay, so all I have to do is prevent them from doing something like right now. But I only have one counterspell. Don't try to counter that. No real reason. Like, even though I probably can't counter a piece of interaction because they probably have their own counterspell. If I try that. Though if it's like ill-timed, they can't protect it ever. Because negate doesn't get pierced. What? Why would you do that? Okay. So I did win, it was not on time. Okay, it is the top 4. My opponent is on, aggro, most likely. The sand might be bad then. This is actually quite terrible against humans. Would be kind of decent on the play. With Cryptic to tap, once I get to 4, and then Lock Whale kills like Athalia to let me actually Cryptic. And the draw it probably just dies, though this is actually Auras, I think. This is actually an amazing hand against Auras on the play, but it might be too slow on the draw. This Skrelv is quite annoying. Because now I just can't Whale. Does not stop Shackles, but Auras in general stop Shackles. On turn 4 I could go activate Shackles plus Whale to kill the other creature. It's probably going to be too slow. They attacked. Interesting. So they play some auras and probably kill me. The auras are actually pretty bad though, I think. So I'm not sure. Yeah, that was pretty bad. So I play Shackles, hope I don't die. If I don't die, I probably win. Install with Cryptic if needed. Okay. More ways of preventing me from answering their creature, but no ways of actually killing me with the creature. So if they have nothing here, or no auras, they do actually just lose their SRAM. Because neither of those can stop colorless. No Giver of Runes here. So any aura, well, not any aura, because it's not Core Spirit Dancer, it has to be at least +2 power. And most auras are probably only like 1. I'm not actually sure. So there's Daybreak Coronet, I think, for more. Okay, well that doesn't quite do it, and that's probably the only one they have, so they kind of... I think they have to top deck another aura if they want to not lose to Shackles. They do immediately die if they don't. I'm guessing they have... No. No, they're dead. They are quite dead. There aren't any flash auras, I think. No relevant ones, at least. Though perhaps I steal on upkeep anyway. No, I definitely want to wait, just in case. No, I probably should have done on upkeep since I can't draw cards. Or draw as many. That was a misplay, I think. Yeah, that was a pretty bad play. They could have given it pro-white to lose its auras, which is not necessarily an upside. But it was an option. They would have had to sack the bodyguard though, because that's just hexproof. I don't know what they're thinking about. What? What is there to think about here? They can get 1 damage with Skrelv on that, which is not a good play. I don't know why they're doing it. Just to try to get 1 damage in. But okay. I'm assuming they bottomed it. It would be extremely strange if they didn't. So I'm not even gonna check. They put Lurrus in hand. So I would like to remove the Spirit Dancer, because the ability to draw a bunch of cards is pretty scary. If I can actually manage to bounce it, then... and not have them just replay it immediately, then I do just win, because I always counter their draw thing in the future. But I am not going to be able to do that. What does this mean? I think they don't have an aura. Can I take the gamble, though? I don't know. I feel like no. And there's not really much of a downside to countering that, because I have plenty of counter spells regardless. I do have no way of ever answering this Spirit Dancer, but that should be fine. Attacking would probably not be wise. Okay, my answer to the Spirit Dancer is actually just Shackles, another one. Or I guess maybe it could be the same one. If they grow the Spirit Dancer enough to kill the SRAM. Because if they give it unblockable from white, I just Cryptic bounce it. Or I do this. Still won't attack because I don't want to be forced to Cryptic Command before the end step. I might just play Whale over Cryptic. I think I will. Actually, we'll just do this. Because if I'm forced to use Cryptic on their combat step, then I can just tap down the Spirit Dancer and they die next turn. Because I just have lethal. And they can't really do anything about it because I just tap again on main phase. So they need like some kind of removal or life gain that isn't lifelink. Or, I don't even know. Okay, so the Wretched Bombs are good. The auras are mostly one. I probably have quite a few twos. So it's mostly twos because it kills the Spirit Dancers. Which is a bit slow on the draw, I still have to play it though. Ether Spouts is actually quite good here. Especially with Cryptic to tap them down for an Ether Spouts the turn after. Makes the mana cost less bad. Out of Air doesn't really work. I feel like counterspells in general are kind of bad, but Charm is still okay, I guess. Sharks can actually block things. Piracy Charm just to kill the protection spells could be good. So something like this. I don't know. I feel like it is... Yeah, it can be quite difficult to remove a large creature. Though, I mean, just the printing of Cryptic Command is really good. Though, I guess I would be playing like 3 repeals if Cryptic Command didn't exist. So perhaps not the most relevant. Though, I don't know, if they have protection spells, I don't really have an answer to a large creature, because it's just like Ether Spouts. Well, I can remove the protection creatures with like Shackles, some other things. And Shackles can kill multiple, though I would probably just die before that worked. Okay, no one drop. I guess we're gonna play the same game where I'm on the draw and need to shackle their big creature. And it needs to somehow work because they don't have any auras. Now this time I have the Archmage's Charm backup. Or no, what? Ether Spout's backup. So let's see, do they actually have auras this time? They do need one more power than before. Or they will split it among multiple creatures, okay. If they put it on the Hoplite, they kinda just lose to the Charm. No way they have no auras again. Really? Interesting. Let's hope they have no auras. They wouldn't necessarily have played their auras if they had them. So they might just have several. And if they have several, they'll draw a bunch more. That's fine, I think. Maybe not. That is 2 cards, actually. I guess I actually was pretty dependent on Shackles, and now I'm pretty dependent on them swinging all out into an Ether Spouts, but they're not going to do that unless they actually have more than 0 power on all their creatures, which I guess is quite likely. They don't put it on the 1-drop, of course, because the Spirit Dancer grows more. Am I actually going to try to put Ringing Strike Mastery onto a Spirit Dancer? I mean, I don't hate it. It kind of encourages them to put it... Wait, what? We have Ethereal Armor? I was not aware of this. Okay. I'm surprised we have that. Okay, so the ores aren't that bad. I do actually need to tap that down. Also, did they not find a land? That means they probably found several auras. So I'm probably just dead. Because even if I remove their entire board, if they draw a ton of cards from having multiple Enchantress effects in play, then they're just going to have more creatures and more auras, and they'll be able to just make a huge board again. And it's not like Azorius Control where I can just play Wrath of God like 4 times in a game. So I'm hoping on the next turn that they just untap Spirit Dancer and swing out. That's kind of my out. Also, how do I beat Needle? That card is actually kind of unbeatable. Because, like, you can't really bounce and then counter it, because it's just so cheap, it's so hard to counter. And there is no mono blue artifact destruction. Well, I guess it's like exactly Ratchet Bombs. Which I guess is not the worst answer. Does get answered by another Needle. If I Archmage's Charm, they aren't going to swing out. I think I have to take here, because otherwise, they're just going to play more auras and kill me. So I have to take this. They could win with double Ethereal Armor. Maybe only 1 would be enough. Oh. Well, that doesn't actually change anything, because they already had the Bodyguard. Well, the Bodyguard wouldn't have worked, because they would have needed pro-white, and they lose their auras. So they actually did need Aegis to get through. So, am I dead to Ethereal Armor? I think so. They have 5 enchantments already in play, so that's +6/+6, and that's exact lethal. Okay, I'm dead. They've taken so long to play. How do they have 13 minutes left? I guess I technically could time out if they play this slowly and it gets to... like if we have a game where I remove their entire board and then they had the card draw so they can just replenish it. But they're probably not going to time out like that. Okay, so I can bring the 2 mana counters back in because they're actually good now. I finally get a game on the play. Sharks is kind of bad, right? Like, they just give it unblockable. Also, why is there a Stoic Sphinx? I think I added that during sideboarding on accident. I actually think Ringing Strike is so bad I don't even necessarily want to be playing them all. Because they don't really care about their like SRAM or whatever actually being able to attack. They can just put it on some 1/1 or whatever. Because it's still gonna draw cards. And if they're drawing cards, it's easy to get to 5 mana, so I don't know. This hand is good. Very good. Has a 2-mana counter. Okay, Shackles is very good after I counter the first thing. Like in the previous games, I had to hope they had like no auras. Because you just can't scale with their auras at all. But if I counter their 2-drop and then slam a Shackles, they can't really make their thing bigger than my Shackles. So this does kind of just completely answer anything they can play. They could have like Seal of Cleansing here. And of course Needle like they had last time. Though actually, if I end step Cryptic, I can steal one thing and then just never need to untap Shackles. So that's something. But yeah, they just can't really play a Spirit Dancer now unless they have a Needle to go with it. Because I'll just take it. It is kind of awkward. I want people to take a Spirit Dancer, but if they have a third Spirit Dancer, I want to be able to counter that, but I can't, because if I wait, they're just gonna... Well, I guess that's the answer. But if they wait, they just play Auras, so I can't just hold up Cryptic. But that would have worked out of air. So, no third land drop. I think they are pretty dead here. Like, I think this matchup is pretty bad, but... Yeah, this is the kind of thing you need. I think it's mostly bad because being on the draw is so bad, but they just had such a terrible hand in game 1 that I was able to get there anyway. So now I just kind of win because I had the Shackles hand that also had an answer to an early thing. I actually just counter a Pithing Needle here. But if I do nothing, I can just double deduce and then just completely take over. Because my card advantage doesn't require me to have a creature in play. Or several creatures in play. I kind of like just countering this. But no, I think it's better to play around Pithing Needle by taking it. No, I should have taken Benevolent Bodyguard first and just sacked it to do nothing. That would have been a better play. I don't know what I'm doing. I can just do this because I have out of air for a creature. And it was the perfect play because now I can go Shackles activate next turn. So how am I actually closing this game? I have no idea. I just play Horned Blockwhale eventually. And it kills them because I have no way of scaling. Or they just time out. That might be more likely. So if I play Whale, I don't get the 6/6, so I guess it's timing out. That's gonna be the win con. Because they always activate. They obviously don't want to put it on top. That would be abysmal. So they're just gonna sack it to prevent me from getting the Whale. What? I'm assuming they put it on the bottom. I guess they just were F6 or something? I don't know. Maybe they just gave up already. That would be reasonable. But then why they haven't conceded? I don't know. So now if they play a Scythus, I get to take both and then untap Shackles. Okay, they do just concede, so I'm on to the finals. Okay, so it is the finals against Izzet Twin. I would have preferred to face M-Dog for the rematch, because I don't really like this matchup. Though I guess I actually kind of do like it now that I know my opponent is pretty in on the Twin plan. I'd much rather face that than a more traditional control deck. Santa's quite good, very good at hitting land drops, also has counter spells, which is kind of everything I need. I do wonder if they even play Roaring Furnace, but even if they do, like, if they draw twice as many cards as me, does that even allow them to win? I'm not sure. Because I have so many twin pieces. I do play Whale if they attack, which they did last time. And they do again. I don't think there's really a relevant play they can have here. And I don't have a follow-up with another twin piece to make my Whale irrelevant. Can I play Deduce? Not really. I will next turn regardless, even if they can invert it still. Did they put it on top? I don't know. I also don't really care, because it doesn't matter. I'll just play the tap land. I'm gonna want a lot of land drops. I don't care too much about the potential of flood, despite those two lands that I just drew. Vedalken Click. That is quite annoying. So I could Cryptic bounce the Corridor Monitor. I can't really out of air because then I die to Splinter Twin plus a land. I don't really like the idea of this resolving, so I think I actually just counter plus bounce. Vedalken Click, huh? It's kind of weird to put in a twin deck. Has synergy with twin, maybe. Get more of the ETB. Okay, I said I like lands, but not that much. They don't attack this time. So I just play the whale, it maybe gets inverted, which would be pretty bad actually, but whatever. I have a clock now. I don't really know how they kill it. Their own whale. Also, my counter spells for a twin are actually quite bad. Like, Make Disappear is a quench. And then it's like 3 mana counterspell, 4 mana counterspell. They choose bounce to deal with that. Okay. I mean, I think I'm not really allowed to do anything about this. I think they have to have a land is the thing. They have to be willing to go for it, they have to have a land, and they have to have a 3 mana counter. Or they have to have negate. feel like it's just unlikely that all of those things are true, or the required ones are. Because I'm pretty sure they don't main deck negate. And like, they might not even have Twin, they might not even have... They might not have a land, because they missed their last matchup, I think. Or they might not have a 3-mana counter. What is the meaning of this? I mean, is it negate? That's really all it can be, right? I guess double spears, technically. They just concede well. I bring the answers. The Pithing Needle. Maybe I don't play it. It depends how bad some of my other cards are. Shark Typhoon is quite good at blocking the fairy. The Whale is kind of bad. Ringing Strike is abysmal. It does do something against the combo pieces at least. But it's still terrible. So, Chrome Host versus Out of Air. I still need a card, so I could play Needle, I could play another Chrome Host. I don't really love Chrome Host. Maybe I just shouldn't play it. I guess I do this. Okay, so it could miss land drops, but it has Archmage's Charm to potentially draw. Shackles to prevent the combo. Spears as well is pretty good at that. And unlike pretty much all of my other counter spells, it actually combines well with other counters to make sure they can't go like Twin plus Archmage's Charm to resolve their combo. Like, I had several places that game where I could have died to their combo just by having Twin plus backup, because all of my counters are like 3 and 4 mana. I think I do counter that. Despite what I just said. I feel like since they have so many pieces dedicated to the combo, it can be pretty difficult for them to actually have the cards they need. Because they have too many cards that are kind of dead. Do I care if this gets stolen? Maybe not. I don't really want to wait with it, is the thing. I don't want to have to play it when... Because I'm not going to play it after they already have a creature in play. So I want to do it now, and I don't really care that much if it gets inverted, I think. Because I can, like, Cryptic to bounce it back. They just played Charm, okay. So they do very much care about that, disrupting their combo. Okay, so they have the land drops without using either of their card draw spells. I think I go Chrome Host. This is actually a lot worse into invert, but I do have Shackles, I still have Cryptic. And again, I want to get it down before they put a creature in play. It just resolves, okay. It might just die though. Okay, so now they have card draw to get their land drops, to get their combo, to get their counter spells. Okay, they let me untap with a shark. That's very good for me. They might have just lost the game by letting that happen. Though they may not have had a choice. I think they kind of need to sneak their combo in now. Otherwise, they're just going to lose to these tokens. It's at least 4 mana. What does it mean? Shark Typhoon? I was not expecting that, but that is completely fine by me. I could have drawn with Charm. This is potentially bad into Artifact Hate or like Cryptic Command. But I do still have Cryptic to bounce it, and maybe get there with tokens. Though the blocker could actually be something then. It is quite nice to not have to worry about the twin combo winning out of nowhere at all. Because they just can't win unless they already have a creature in play that they gave me an opportunity to kill at sorcery speed. Which is perhaps the reason why, despite Twin being like considered the best version of Control in the past, it's considered a suboptimal version now, despite having Splinter Twin. Okay, so they could have bounced Shackles, but I guess they didn't really have a follow-up, so they'd just be letting me Shackles and then steal it again. But they're basically just removing Niv Mizzet now, because they can't just play Niv Mizzet. They just can't play Niv Mizzet anymore, because I just have Shackles in play. So I don't know how they win from here. Do I get aggressive? I think I do. I don't really know how they survive this, because I just counter whatever they play that interacts. If they play Niv Mizzet, I just Shackle it and they die. So I don't know how they ever beat this. I guess Ill-Timed could do something with a counterspell. I still get a 3/3 though, which kills them in 2 turns. I have my Shackles up so they can't answer it with a creature. I still have a counterspell to protect it. Not that I necessarily would. So yeah, I think they are just pretty much completely dead here. Okay, my opponent is playing a card. Are they trying Niv Mizzet again? I don't think that's going to work out. And this time I already have the Shackles in play. Let's not have 6, just in case they have a Smelt this time. Even though they would still just die to the Cryptic. But, yeah, I just steal that again. And they die. I guess they were thinking it's not lethal on board, so technically if I give them the monitor back and have nothing, then they could play Splinter Twin and win the game. Not the worst idea, because they were pretty dead regardless there. So it was a decent Hail Mary. Yeah, the match is just over now. So I did win the tournament. So I won the tournament with mono blue control, 5-1. Only loss was to M-Dog on Aristocrats combo, which I would think is one of the best possible matchups from this deck, but yeah, and like one of the easiest, or one of the most difficult matchups I thought would be Red deck, which I 2-0'd. I think I overall got pretty good matchups. Like, Izzet Twin, that list is probably favored for me, unlike pretty much any more traditional control list. And I think it beats Aristocrats. Yeah, I think it's just pretty lucky. I was just pretty lucky with the matchup spread. I don't think this deck is very good at all. There's very little reason to play it over Izzet, I think. But I do just love Vedalken Shackles as a card, so I wanted to play it.